the Fade 5 Podcast with Brad Evans and Nate Lundy.
Place your bets, you jack wagons. By the big noise, Evans here, joined by the good Nathaniel Lundy. Is indeed another rollicking edition of the Feed 5 Podcast. Let's not waste a second of time. We already got tickets in hand, and we're jumping aboard the Honk plus bus. Plus, what our odds are greater is a requirement. Could be the NFL. Could be dropping the puck and making some bucks in the NHL. Your favorite sport. Could be another sensational Saturday slate. Let me rip my pants off in college basketball, or maybe even looking ahead to the national title game on Monday between the Ohio State, I have to say that for copyright purposes, against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And Lundy, I believe you were twirling the pigskin, but where?
Let's go the plus bus, Brad, and let's go to a guy who basically has been non-existent this season. Excuse me, outside of social media and hanging out with his brother and doing all those kinds of things. Let me go to the guy that I think is actually going to, have a little bromance with Mr. Patrick Mahomes this weekend. Look, only 3 touchdowns on the season. We know that, especially if you're somebody that had him in fantasy. You understand that he was not splashing 6 at the rate that we have seen him do historically. Maybe he's distracted. Maybe he's helping Taylor write some songs. I don't know exactly what it is, but I do know that he has not found himself into the end zone very often. But I do believe come playoff time, the bromance between Mahomes and Kelce will happen. And right now, the best juice out there is plus 150 for Mr. Taylor Swift to splash 6 on the touchdown. And I think that happens in the game this weekend. I'm so disappointed that they wound up somehow through all the luck with the number 1 seed, because the battle that we are going to see between Buffalo and Baltimore should be the AFC Championship game, not a divisional round. However, there's nothing we can do about it. We're stuck with the fact that they're going to play Houston, and I don't even know if Houston's going to score. So let's just move on and get to the AFC Championship game, which we know will wind up being hosted yet again at Arrowhead, and let's just hope that somebody can knock these guys off. But I do think 6 points, spike Travis Kelce come weekend time.
All right, it sounds like a broken record, everything Kansas City right now, and I totally emphatically agree with you that the bone-chilling game of the weekend is going to be the hottest, and that is Buffalo and Baltimore there in Western New York. All right, let's go to the college hardwood. Decent slate for a Friday night. Usually don't get that, so I like to sip a little 2-leg money line action, which means all these teams got to do is secure the dub. Give me the Villanova Wildcats at home against the Providence Friars on the money line, and give me New Mexico in the pit, taking on Boise State in a Mountain West Conference showdown. New Mexico, all they got to do is win as well. You look at Villanova, a team I do believe is going to secure the victory tonight. Number 14 EFG offense on the year. A little bit lackluster defensively, number 177. But you look over the last 7 games, they're shooting a mere 42.2% from way downtown, splishy and splashing early and often from distance. And Providence team is just number 150 and 3-point percentage over their last 7 games. Providence as well, they're turning the ball over at a really sad rate, quite frankly. Number 282 in turn percentage offense over the last 7 games. So the on-ball pressure Villanova could have a field day. So I believe the Wildcats, at home there, secure the victory and get themselves maybe closer to the right side of the NCAA tournament bubble. Meanwhile, New Mexico getting the dub on the money line. I believe that is going to occur. They're 9-1 in the pit this season, and 9-1 really if you stretch out over the last 10 games going back to last year. Hey, look over the last 7. They're number 72 in EFG defense, limiting opponents just 43% from 2-point land, and that is important because Boise really feeds the post. With Deegan Hart and friends, they're excellent rebounding team. And a team that they're scoring at a very high rate there near the basket. So New Mexico challenging shots, contesting around the rim that could force Boise to take some outside shots, and that is not their strongest suit. Remember, over the last 7 days or games, they're shooting 60% from 2. However, you look at the 3-point percentage defense, number 304 in the country since the middle of December. So the marksmen from outside, from way downtown, could have a field day for New Mexico. And given their defensive chops in the interior, I think the Lobos get the win. So to recap, Villanova money line, New Mexico money line plus 103 built there on that simple two-legger at BetMGM. With those bets on the board, let's get after it and make some divisional round dollars with another edition of the Fade 5.
Number 5.
Numero cinco on the countdown. Let's go to Seal. Smashel. Oh, and the football Frankenstein. Game time temperature is going to be somewhere in the teens. It's going to be tea-chattering, to say the least, out there in Western New York on Sunday night, capping the divisional round in really the most glorious way possible, because I agree with Lundy. This essentially is the AFC title game in my mind. And if Baltimore is going to secure the victory, hey, they're favored now. They open as 1-point dogs. They are now 1-point favorites, and I would expect that line to climb. They could be as, maybe 2.5-point favorites by the time this thing tees up. But Seal Smashel Derrick Henry and the football Frankenstein's got to be fed early and often if Baltimore is going to win this game. So I'm going to take the over because I'm buying in that narrative. 19.5 rush attempts at a minus 115 juice there at BetMGM. Now, credit to the Bills. They were gashed early in the season on the ground, but man, they have really tightened up those screws here the last 5 weeks. They are numero uno in the NFL in rush EPA defense. A team in the regular season, though, they gave up 4.44 yards per carry, 95.8 rush yards per game to the RB position. Now, last time Henry faced these guys, he only went for a season-high $199 on the ground on 24 rush attempts. He's got at least 20 rush attempts. Hey, it's December, January, Derrick Henry. In 4 straight games, he hit on this prop in 50% of his games, including the wild card round, seeing 73.3% of the opportunity share. Now, obviously, flow is going to dictate whether this thing hits, but I believe at a minimum, the Baltimore Ravens are going to be highly competitive in this game, and I'm also buying that they're going to flat out win this thing outright. So give me Derrick Henry, numero cinco, with a Fade 5 countdown over 19.5 rush attempts in Buffalo, minus 115 at BetMGM. Good sir. Better follow.
Well, I think you have to because of how damn cold it's going to be. I mean, the good news is if he is, in fact, the football Frankenstein, the way you described, basically cold-blooded. He's like a snake. It doesn't matter what the weather is. The man is just a machine. And so, yeah, I think he's going to wind up with a lot of carries in this ball game. You and I are on opposite sides. I do believe that Buffalo is going to win. You think Baltimore is going to win. As we've said, again, broken record. I wish this game were being played next weekend instead. But despite all of that, I do think Derrick Henry is going to have ball to the belly over and over again in this game because I think they're going to try to do everything they can to keep Josh Allen and company off the field.
Hey, John Harbaugh, nothing but Derrick Henry helpings, please.
Number 4.
All right, numero cuatro here with the Fade 5 countdown. Let's get out a little scary Terry. Yeah, give me Terry McLaurin to have the most receiving yards in the game against the Detroit Lions. And look at that sexy, juicy arm roll the shoulders and get seduced by that juice at plus 225. Registered that one at DraftKings Sportsbook. I think McLaurin's going to lead this game in a receiving yards. Why? Well, what's the vulnerability in Detroit? It's clearly in the secondary, and here's the evidence to back it up. For the last 5 weeks of the regular season, they ranked just number 30, third to last in the league, and pass EPA defense. Also in the regular season, in totality, they allowed the most wide receiver yards of any defense in the National Football League. 18 wide receivers, as a matter of fact, hit 70 yards. And I think McLaurin could, tack on additional 30. I think he's going to hit a hundo in this game. Probably getting a lot of Terry and Arnold in coverage. Maybe a little bit of Meek Robertson as well. But Arnold, I think, is going to be the primary defender he's got to lock horns with. And on the season, Arnold allowed just 728 yards to his assignments. To put that into context, that was the 8th most of a defensive back in the NFL, along with a 60.4% catch rate, 99.2 passer rating. He also chipped in. McLaurin, in the regular season, he was top 10 in total air yards among all wide receivers, top 10 in deep ball targets, and had the highest quarterback passer rating when targeted at 133.0. I think he's got to get a couple of chunk gains in this game. I think it's going to be like a 6 or 7 reception kind of contest. And if you were buying in the idea that the script is going to run negative, I mean, you look at the Commanders, they are 9.5-point underdogs. So that will increase the opportunities for McLaurin to put a fright into the competition. So give me him to lead this game in receiving yards at a handsome plus 225 juice at DraftKings. Lundy, I know you like it juicy. Fade or follow.
Well, that's the problem is I am getting pulled in by the juice on this one because I do think obviously you got Amon-Ra St. Brown on the other side who could wind up easily going for triple digits.
Maybe
himself.
J-Mo?
Yeah, could be any of those kinds of things. But I think at 225, I'll tell you what, half unit. I'll go a little small, it's something I'm very familiar with. I'll go half unit on this one. I'm not going to completely buy in on it, but the 225 makes it awfully tempting.
Oh, a half unit. In other words, 3 inches of pleasure.
Number 3.
Numero Trace here on the Fade 5 countdown. Let's go back to the same game. Again, you got a sky-high projected 55.5 total, so we got to get more player props on the board in Lions and Commanders, and I'm going to start with another Commander. Give me Diami Brown on the over, just 28.5. Are you kidding me? Receiving yards at a minus 115 there at BetMGM. I think this is a step ladder opportunity. You can take it at 28.5. Take it at 40, take it at 50, and then he stopped there. I don't think he's going to get to 75, but I think he's got a really good shot of reaching 50 or more, and that's a plus 210 right now if you were buying into that at BetMGM. But getting back to the standard line on the 28.5, I think Brown is going to hit this with relative ease. He has actually done this a couple of times in his last 4 games, and his role is really ramping up. He had that breakout performance in the last round, nearly 90 yards receiving in that one, getting adequate separation from his defender. And he's probably going to get a lot of Meek Robertson in coverage. Another guy that ranks top 30 in most pass yards allowed, much like his teammate Terry Arnold, at the defensive back position. I already laid out the case with McLaurin. Again, Detroit is a collective in that secondary, number 30 in pass EPA defense. I mean, Brown may hit this at the end of the first half. This could take like 2 catches for him. He is a very good field stretcher working outside the numbers, and his confidence is soaring. And the belief in him from Jaden Daniels, which is important because he's the one throwing the pigskin, his general direction, also climbing right now. So Diami Brown, get down, baby, on the over 28.5 receiving yards. And day 12, minus 115 at BetMGM. Newer Trace on the countdown. Lundy. Fade or follow.
Recency bias. Look at you.
Helmet drop.
Oh, well, last week he did. I don't know that we would have been talking about this guy in any other episode of the Fade 5 podcast over the course of the season. I think this is a game script type of thing. And again, as you talked about, the total in this thing is expected to be sky high, which probably means it'll be like, 17 to 14, something stupid like that.
3-2.
Yeah, we'll be bored. We'll be absolutely bored to tears over the course of the weekend. Look, we're going to get the Baltimore Buffalo game, and then the rest of it's going to be like, oh wait, there were 3 other games. There were. Oh, I missed those. Gosh, you're buying in on some recency here. All right,
I am.
I'll follow, but I think the cold weather's starting to get to you.
No, inject into my damn veins. Recency bias, it is indeed a hell of a drug.
It's trouble. It is absolutely trouble.
Hey, guess what? You want to drop some more lines? Go to thegamingjuice.com right now. It's absolutely free. We have all kinds of action across the board. Not only the NFL, I got my top props piece posted there live at the current moment in time. Also have some Saturday specials for a pair of games there on that day. You can read all of it for 100% free at thegamingjuice.com. Lundy's free spreadsheet is always there. He's always updating it, turning out some additional content. Brandon Velasquez turning out some NHL content every single week there. Ben Winstein, Nate Jacobson, myself, Joe Lago, our esteemed senior editor. They're all going to be chipping in their favorite picks in the national title game. And we're going to post that over the weekend, so you don't want to miss that. Get it all at thegamingjuice.com, you jackals. Click, converse, and cash. ... Maybe.
Number 2.
All right, numero dos here on the Fade 5 countdown. Let's get exotic, Lundy. And I saw this bet and immediately grabbed my attention in all the wrong places. And it had a little twist. And I said, yes, I'll take it. Puka Nacua on the over 2.5 rush yards in Philadelphia. Another game. I think it's going to be like 8 or 9 degrees. It's going to be terribly cold there for the kickoff of that one. Minus 110 at BetMGM. I love gimmicky props this time of year because coaches always pull out every last stop imaginable to try to get an edge, try to get a gain against the competition. And Nacua, I think, has got a really good shot of cashing in on this prop. Why? Well, he's done it in 4 of his last 6 games, including last week. He had 1 carry for 7 yards. He is an absolute beast with the ball in his hands after contact, after the catch in the regular season. He had the 9th most yards of any wide receiver. Remember, he missed a handful of games. It would have easily set the pace if he played the entire season in that category. In the regular season, he was averaging 4.2 yards per carry. And you look at Philadelphia, sure, they're number 5 in rush EPAD over the last 5 weeks, and only 3 wide receivers hit the over on 2.5 rush yards against them in the regular season. But they did surrender. If you're just looking at the running back position, it's just when Nacua is going to be on hopefully a singular play. 4.08 yards per carry is what Philly allowed to RBs this year. So I don't care if it's a backwards pass. I don't care if it's a jet sweep, an in-motion handoff. Get crazy with the cheese whiz, Sean McVay. Find a way to hand the ball off to Puka Nacua because I feel really confident he gets 1 carry. He's going to get at least 3 yards. So, numero dos on the Fade 5 countdown on this Friday edition. Puka Nacua, Puka, with the over 2.5 rush yards in the city of Brotherly Shove. Minus 110 at BetMGM. Fade or follow?
I shall fade just because you know how much I hate following on everything that you wind up doing. I say the carry does not happen, and I say if it does, Philly in the backfield, wrapping him up, throwing him down, and that's your brotherly shove. I shall fade, good sir, at number 2.
All right. Well, Puka Nacua, please, Punk Lundy.
Number 1.
Numero uno on the Fade 5 countdown. Of course, I love the wide receiver rushing yards market, so let's go ahead and double down with another name. X gonna give it to you. Gonna give it to you. X gonna give it to you. Xavier Worthy. I'll take the over on 4.5 rush yards. Now, originally I grabbed this at Caesars at minus 129, and it's starting to show up at some of the other books. And I saw early this morning on this Friday, DraftKings posted it at a minus 110, and I grabbed that, and I'm waiting for BetMGM to do the same, and hopefully it's going to be minus 110. Hell, maybe it'll do me a solid, and it's like minus 105. I don't care as long as the juice is below like minus 150 on this. I'm playing it. I'd probably play this up to like 5.5, to be honest with you. Bar none, my favorite bet on the board in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and here are the reasons why. Yes, Houston number 6 in rush EPAD over the last 5 games. So 6 wide receivers, 6, a half dozen, or went over 4.5 rush yards against them in the regular season. They only gave up 3.93 yards per carry to the running back position. However, Worthy has hit the over on this in 6 of his last 8 games. He has 11 rush attempts in his last 8 games combined. It's a decent volume and workload. And on the year, in the regular season, he was averaging 5.2 yards per carry. So Andy Reid loves to kind of, move guys around, a lot of window dressing, and sometimes that dressing actually gets the ball on one of those in-motion handoffs, or maybe even a backwards pass. That has happened on occasion for Xavier Worthy. I think it's going to be more than 1 carry for him in this game. Even if you were to get like the first carry for like minus 2 yards, the second one could go for like 7 or 8, and we still cash in. So Xavier Worthy, my number 1 play this week in the NFL on the over 4.5 rush yards. Minus 110 at DraftKings, minus 129 at Caesars. Hey, do me a favor, BetMGM. Just make it plus money so I can empty my account. Lundy! Fade or follow.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that for you, but I do love it at -110 over there at DK, which you can still get as of tape time here. So I would go take advantage of that, get the juice. Love my friends at Caesars, but I'll take the extra 19 cents and take the exact same prop at the 4.5 over at DK. I do think that Andy Reid will get creative. I think he'll do it over the course of probably the first 2.5 quarters. And then I think they're going to sit back and they're going to start making their plans for next weekend.
Yes, indeed. Yet again, it's ho-hum. So boring that the Kansas City Chiefs are likely going to be in the AFC title game yet again. All right, let's go to bonus time. Bonus time. Lundy, whether it's in the NFL playoffs, could be in your sport, the NHL, and I'm sure you're going to fire off a couple of puck bucks here in a minute. Maybe the NBA, college hoops, or looking ahead to the national title game. I'll have a bet in that sport as well. What do you like? Serve it up.
Let's actually bounce around just a little bit across various sports. I'll leave the NFL to the fact that we just covered a lot of that in the Fade 5. Let me go to the NHL. As you said, I'm always finding excuses to be able to bet. Had a mixed night last night, but finished up just a little bit, so that is always a good thing. Only 2 games on the schedule in the NHL for this evening, and I'm going to go straight chalk tonight. I'm going to take both of the home teams. So give me the Buffalo Sabres. They are at home against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh has been in a little bit of a slide. I think Buffalo will take advantage of that and beat them. So again, just on the money line, give me the Sabres. And then the same thing with Carolina. They are at home against Vegas. I think this one's going to be a tight game, might even go to overtime between Carolina and Vegas, but I do think the home squad winds up coming out victorious. If you just do straight money line, both home teams in the 2 NHL contests tonight, plus 186 over at DraftKings. So I do like that one. Very light slate. It'll get hot and heavy, obviously, with hockey night in Canada for Saturday. So we'll have some fun tomorrow overall with that one. Let me throw out one NFL one that I'm going to put up on the spreadsheet here a little bit later. Joe Mixon's receiving yards opened at 15.5. It is now at 17.5, and I'm going to counter bet it. I'm going to take the under on that total. Receivers have done this to the Chiefs over the course of the regular season. But if you actually go back a few weeks ago when Houston played Kansas City, Joe Mixon had 1 catch for 14 yards. It's not to say that he couldn't wind up with 2. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. You have to go back basically 30 days to find a couple of games, that Joe Mixon went over this total. So again, it was at 15.5. It's up to 17.5. I'm now going to turn around and bet against the line movement. I'm going to take the under. I say he gets a catch in this game. I just don't see him breaking it. And so I'm going to take the under on the 17.5 on the receiving yards. The Denver Nuggets are down at South Beach taking on the Miami Heat this evening. Give me Tyler Hero on the over 24.5 points against the Nuggets. Earlier this season, he chalked exactly 24 against Jokic and company, which means we would have been Captain Hooked on that one. But Hero's got 3 straight games of 30 plus. And guards can score against this Denver team. So the fact that it's sitting at 24.5, I will absolutely take the over in that one. And if you play it at FanDuel, by the way, not quite even money, but it's only a -104 if you want to go snag him there. If you want to completely shop around and try to avoid the hook, by the way, bet Rivers. He's at 23.5 for his points. You're going to pay a little bit of juice on that one. I'm fine with FanDuel. I think he goes for north of 27 in this contest against Denver. Again, 24 earlier this season, and he's on a hot streak right now. Again, 30 points or more in 3 straight games. And so I think he can do that against the Denver Nuggets. I already told you I disagree with Brad. I think Buffalo defends the home turf tonight. This weekend. So I will take Buffalo on the money line, and that will be part of my various parlays. But from a same game standpoint, I might take them, plus 6.5, plus 5.5, something like that, just to buy myself a little bit of cushion. We'll have some fun on the betting spreadsheet this weekend because we know we will have a ton of NHL games to be able to talk about. I'm looking forward to the NFL weekend, even though I think there's only going to be one good game out of the overall bunch. But for now, I yield the floor to the fine gentleman with his Team Huevos shirt for today and his shiny bald head, which kind of looks like the eggs on that shirt. The fine gentleman from Illinois.
Oh, huevos gigantes indeed. All right, let's get after it with the Team Huevos Parlay play. It's not overly huevosy, and we just need a winner. Simple two-legger, and I love leader markets that are available right now at the universally, really at all the sportsbooks that are out there. Simple two-legger. Originally, I had Joe Mixon in here, but because of the injury downside, I was like, I don't feel that great about it. And what happens? If Kansas City comes out and absolutely obliterates them in the first half, they go up like 24-0 by the first half. And, that would be a major deterrent that Joe Mixon wouldn't see any kind of volume after halftime. So I took Mixon out of the mix. So simple two-legger. Saquon Barkley to lead his game in rush yards. Remember last time he faced LAR? Just 255 rush yards that he notched in that game. And you look at the LA Rams. They're a team number 19 to rush EPAD over the last 5, gave up over 5 yards per carry to the running back position in the regular season. So I think Saquon will lead that game. He will best Kyron Williams, the only competition he really has in that department. And Philly will secure the victory there in those teeth chattering conditions there in Western or Eastern, I should say, PA. Meanwhile, Jahmyr Gibbs, he's going to lead the game in rush yards as well for Detroit. Again, Washington, a team that's only number 20 in rush EPAD for the last 5 weeks. I know mandatory Montgomery is back, you jackals. That's glorious. It's wonderful. I love that. But Gibbs probably going to get at least 15 to 17 carries in this game. He gets that with his explosivity. Probably going to get to at least the 75-yard mark. And really could get fed late in the game, holding away the clock. So Saquon Barkley, lead the game in rush yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, do the same thing. Lead the game in rush yards, plus 113. Really handsome juice. Very viable bet there at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, more bonus time. Let's stay in the NFL. Let's get mandatory Montgomery on the board, shall we? I built a parlay at BetMGM for mandatory Montgomery anytime touchdown and Jahmyr Gibbs anytime touchdown. That's it. So Sonic and Knuckles reteamed, and they get back to doing what they do best, and that's scoring TDs, which they have done in 10 games this season together at the same time. So it's not like outlandish at all. So here's what's interesting, Lundy. I built that prop at BetMGM a couple of days ago, and I got it at plus 138. For comparison's sake, I built a DraftKings. It was minus 105. That's crazy good value there at BetMGM. So if you still get plus money at the Lions War, I highly suggest you go there. And I think that one's going to cash. And I also like mandatory Montgomery over 14.5 receiving yards. I don't think there's going to be any limitations in his play. He's been full go in practice all week. And you look at the regular season, 8 running backs hit the over on 14.5 receiving yards against the Commanders. They gave up 22.8 receiving yards a game to RBs. Montgomery has done this in 7 straight games. A guy that's catching 94.7% of the targets thrown his general direction. So him getting over 14.5 receiving yards, all we need is 2 grabs, and I think that one comes home for us as well. Give me Xavier Worthy. Anytime touchdown, plus 210 at BetMGM. Hells to the yes. Again, he can score in a variety of ways, whether catching the ball or rushing the ball. They utilize him in both capacities inside the red zone often. I think he finds the end zone in that game. And then give me Dawson Knox over 13.5 receiving yards against the Baltimore Ravens. I know the Ravens are number 1 in pass EPAD over the last 5 weeks, but in the regular season, they gave up 56.6 yards per game to the tight end position. 19 tight ends hit over 13.5 yards against them. Knox has done this in 8 of his last 11 in the regular season. He was top 10 in deep ball targets among plus-size targets. So I think he gets what's needed. A couple of grabs, all we need, and he'll get to 14 or more yards. So really like that one quite a bit. Have a ton more on the spreadsheet. You can go there. Always free, always transparent, and always publicly available at thegamingjuice.com. Real quick, a couple of thoughts of college basketball. I like St. Joe's on the money line tonight. They're at home against VCU. At FanDuel, it's plus 112, I believe. You look at St. Joe's and what they have done in the last 7 games. They're top 35 in the country in EFG offense, and they're top 15 in the country in EFG defense. So much better than the overall profile shows if you trim it down the last 7 games. Or that same 7-game stretch, VCU, they're just number 64 overall in Bart Torvik, 139 EFG offense, 135 EFG defense, and 239 the three-point percentage defense. So I think St. Joe's sharpshooters are going to take care of business, and they're going to score the home victory. The Hawks could be flapping because he has to the entire game. That's a hell of a workout for your shoulders if you want that gig. Although they changed the costume. It's not like the cheesy, low-budget costume it used to be. It's all fancy. Get the hell out of here, St. Joe. Should never done that. The old school costume was the greatest, though it was falling apart. And I also like Fresno. I'll lay the chalk 3.5 against the Air Force. Why? Because the Falcons, they can't fly. They're on the ground. They're terrible, folks. Just awful. I know Fresno is as well, but Fresno, contrasted styles, they're at home. They're going to speed up Air Force, make it feel uncomfortable. And I think the Bulldogs pack some bites. So I think they cover the 3.5. And then I'm just waiting for the other lines to come out. I think the over-under in Alabama, Kentucky is going to be roughly like 190,000 or something like, I don't know, 190,000. It's going to be crazy. I think it could be a first 110 wins that game. So I'm waiting for that line to come out. And I'm also waiting for Mississippi State, the Magnolia State battle. I kind of like Ole Miss. They're going on the road. I know they're going to beat the hump. But if they're catching points, that team just continues to win. Why? Because Chris Beard is a damn good college basketball coach. I like that action, whatever it opens at. And I think Mississippi State probably going to be favored by 3 or 4. Illinois plays on Sunday. Probably going to take my line. Probably going to be catching like 3.5, 4 against Michigan State. Slightly a big game because Minnesota and Illinois in favor last night, beating Michigan. And possibly Dawson Garcia for the logo, for the win. And it's good. And then finally, college football national title game. We're not going to be taping a Fade 5 episode on Monday, but I'm going to give you a bet in that game. Ohio State's going to win. So I'm going to build an SGP. I'm going to take the spread out of the equation, the standard line, which is really climbing. I think it's like up to 8.5 right now. So give me Ohio State on the money line. And I say Notre Dame keeps it within 2 touchdowns. I'll take Notre Dame plus 14.5. So Buckeyes money line, Fighting Irish plus 14.5. That simple 2-legger, you get to plus money. It's plus 110 at BetMGM when you build that. And I think that is going to how it's going to shape up and shake out. If Notre Dame somehow wins that game, bye, Ryan Day. It's been nice. Maybe. We'll see. Can't beat Michigan. It's 1 for a lifetime. All right. I'm out of breath, and we are out of time here on the Fade 5 podcast. Do us a favor. Would you kindly drop us a rating and a review at your convenience? Fade or follow us on the X. Lundy's always giving it to you there at Nate Lundy. I'm doing the same at Noisy Huevos. Go to thegamingjuice.com. Again, so many more picks that we didn't even touch on because we simply didn't have enough time on this episode. You can see them down dirty. We track everything. I'm really pissed at Hawaii right now because they got boat race last night. I woke up this morning. I'm like, they lost by 23? What happened? Oh, there you go. That's basketball. It's been rough. I had Michigan on the money line at Parlay. I'm still pissed about that, but as a Illini fan, I'm elated. Anyway, I got to go. Lundy's got to peace out. I'm Brad Evans. He's Nate Lundy. Until next time, as always, fade or follow. That is up to you. Lose, Chiefs. Lose.